it's not arthritis, and they sent it in for samples to see if it's a, you know, if there's any disease or anything like that in there, which he highly doubts, but it's just normal procedure. Because if it gets a lot worse, well, then we'll have to look at possible knee replacement.
We should maybe go ahead and pull on the consideration for a replacement, but I've heard such horror stories on knee replacements. I'm not doing it. I'll suffer through the pain.
My dad had his removed 6, 7 years ago. He was upper 70s. He's 85 now, so maybe late 70s. He's never gone in and done the other one.
These are, you know, Louisa, she's got a high tolerance of pain. She did both hips last year.
Oh my gosh.
Told her to quit jumping off the high road.
And
And
it's,
those racing matches.
To take it, you know, she comes home and of course I'm changing the dressing. The incision they make, oh my God.
It's not that long, yeah, right down the. Then they
Go for your knee, but
Yeah.
for her.
Yeah, oh, I couldn't
Oh,
imagine.
God,
Oh, yeah.
I tell you what,
It's bionic woman now.
I never keep up with her now. So
That's
man,
the alternative.
don't get old.
Yeah, wow. Oh my
Do
gosh.
not do it.
I'd rather get old than an alternative.
That's why I do yoga.
I don't bend.
I've never
been
been able to
anymore.
bend, never. I could never sit on the floor or cross my legs and get up, my knees will be up to my nose every time I just don't have the flexibility.
Well,
You'd break me.
I went to a yoga class that was almost all seniors one day. It was very different than what you think.
Rusty?
That one was, nope, that one was at Family Wellness. So, but I've been to classes at Ruston.
I've been out there with the senior ladies, they're out there doing their yoga. They're having a great time, it's a great social event.
Yeah, I mean, at Wellness, there was a ton of people in that class, so.
Yeah, the one at Rusted, there's a class that meets at 8:45 for an hour every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. There's gotta be 50, 60 people out there.
Wow.
At least.
More and more men are showing up now too, but it used to be just all ladies out there.
That's great.
Are you going to Frisco?
Yep, I just bought my ticket yesterday. I succumbed to my own pressure.
I just talked to Arlen today and they're leaving.
Oh yeah, he told me that a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, I knew that he was going. I always buy for Christmas. I always buy a Fireball.
Oh yeah.
He likes the damn
right there too,
It would
like
be an
literally right
opportunity.
there. I know, because we actually go there all the time, but we're not going for the game. So,
It's huge.
yeah, that's a 300 to 330,000 square foot
I
store.
think it's the one in Minneapolis.
I don't know. I've never
I
actually been to
wanted
one
to
in
draw
Minneapolis.
perspective, because the one in Minneapolis,
Right up there.
I don't remember which,
Well, Fargo's about 100, so it's like 3 times the Fargo size.
well, the one in
They
Minneapolis.
spread their clothes out so much. They really do.
Minneapolis gotta be at least double Fargo.
Okay.
Where,
I don't remember where it's at, what suburb.
I had one in the mall down in Eden Prairie.
No, well, then it is Eden Prairie. It is, yeah, yes, it is Eden Prairie. Patrick lives in, good, way over the west side. We drove over there.
Mascot?
No, Patrick lives in Woodbury.
oh, that Woodbury would be the east side.
East side, did I say west side? My apologies, I meant east side, yeah. He said, we had one Saturday, was, I don't know what the ladies were doing, but, did you wanna see it? I said, boys love going over there. I said, sure, let's go. It's quite, quite a trip. I was blown away by the store.
Yeah, it's fun to go to the big new ones like Reno and Billings, and there's out west, there's some big, nice ones.
Bigger out west.
Yeah, it is. Like I said, that Texas one, that's the
When you
biggest
walk
one.
through the Texas one, and there's a aquarium, that arched aquarium that you walk under.
Yeah, they have scuba divers that will
Yeah,
swim
sure,
in
you
there.
recommend
Yeah.
visitor store. They had one out here, just, for a while here. So I turned it over and I builds those aquariums.
Yeah, we have 3 or 4 more pretty nice big ones going up around the country too. So Chandler in Phoenix, we'll get one. Boise, Idaho, Tulsa, Oklahoma.
If they ever wanted to really expand and build a big one, I suppose there's some spots in this.
Well, true, there you go.
Just shelve that one.
That's right.
They bought that.
They've got 600 acres up there soon, right?
There you go.
Yeah.
Shields in there.
Shields is bought that in
Right?
front of.
With the outdoor shooting range?
There you go.
They bought it, I-29 and 94.
Oh, yeah.
Just north of Monty Joseph's new WDAY. And PetroServe, or not PetroServe.
Oh, in that
It's-
big
yeah,
area?
it's just in that big route.
Where the all shoes are.
I heard those.
They bought that 5 or 6 years ago.
That'd be hard to get.
Speculation was always that they could.
Right.
Fargo
It
will
would
be
be
a
a store.
signature store like the others.
Oh, sure.
Just
I
a
don't know what they do with the
administrative
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
training center.
Because they're really landlocked where they're at.
Yes,
Mhm.
it's very true.
Yeah, they just got done expanding. just like outside.
Wonderful.
Oh, just lovely. Especially after that Viking win.
My parents' place on New Year's Eve.
Hey, I was there. Yeah.
From Sunday to Saturday.
Viking sideline.
Holy cow.
50-yard line, 7 rows up.
I had over a half inch of ice on my.
My mom got it back in like August or September.
Bears and all that kind of stuff.
Where'd you stay?
And,
By like
Visibility, you
Park
see
or whatever.
the
It's like
headlights at night,
6 miles from
maybe half a mile, but
Oh.
it seemed like the fog was
Landfall,
just
like
coming
6
in and
miles from
waves
there.
in front of you, it's kind of like
We
ghosty
flew
type
to Green
mist coming across and it's just
I drove
weird.
there last year.
Yeah.
It's a long drive.
Friends did that. And by the time they got home, they didn't like each other.
Yeah, sunshine out there.
Really? That's good.
Yeah. They said they'll wait till the 4th of July to hang out again.
Incognito all the time.
Have we finished this, Manny?
Oh, what's that?
Is
Yeah,
this
I think,
done?
yeah, that was the last meeting, yeah, we voted option C, and that's, it should be done,
See,
yeah.
you didn't alter it at all?
So, yeah, so that's the one.
case about that made it out today.
Yeah, that was pretty powerful to make that statement right away.
You got legislation regarding what Officer Brown went through, if he denied. You got, Senator Lee's lieutenant is looking at, we got Austin Shire, I got a number of legislators that I'm talking to the leadership about it already. But I was really disappointed with that, because the highway patrol and the speed.
What about the email that I
They don't really
sent?
speed against it, but they kind of do.
There was an email that I
It's
sent
got to
over
do
for
with
this.
fiscal note attached to it. They're afraid they're gonna use another type of method. And, so I had to go back through the, say, that's not what we want.
Right.
An office, an officer does not have to be on the line of duty 5 years if he has a catastrophic health.
I can try to do that.
Anyway, so it's good that, I didn't listen to all the speech on it.
Yeah, it was pretty powerful to hear him say it. I was like, oh, no, that's on his mind right now too.
I just read an email from Dora, she, about a polar plunge. I think what I'm going to do is that's going to be, assign to somebody else. Good Lord. You see when they were out in the East Coast someplace, the weather got better this weekend, but they were water skiing.
Really?
Yeah, really? None of the creeks or rivers had froze over. They were water skiing and jumping in the water.
Oh, I see what you mean.
I saw on the Great Lakes,
I wonder why it did that. Okay, I'll send it to you again.
we were surfing. Somewhere near the Duke.
Oh, really?
I've got a sheet nuts, because I've seen that flyers alongside the shore.
I saw that too.
Yep, she is.
They do surf there. I see it on the TV once in a while, like Weather Channel or whatever, they'll be showing these guys out there.
Yeah, it's weird that it would have done, or wouldn't link it to
I
it.
was out there in July, and drove from Duluth up to Two Harbors or whatever, along there. It was fucking cold, it was coming off of there. We get a couple miles in, it's like, okay, now it's 80 degrees up there. Right out there outside the water. There's a guy out there with
We had one race
the
where
sail on the
way
board,
past
I don't know, sailboard on the water. And there was no sandy beach, it was all huge, granite, you know. Did you think this through?
Not good. So,
Okay. Either one works, as long as the link works. Oh, I see you popped up. I hear, or can you guys hear him? Do you want to try to talk? No, I can't hear out there, but I can hear you on your phone.
Well, he's muted right now.
Oh, I can see you. Yep. Well, they should be able to hear you in here, but I can't. Can you hear any of us? I was gonna say, can you hear me talking to the, yeah, it should be. No, he can't. But can you hear me
Recording
talk?
in progress.
Nope. Okay. Let me see if I can walk it in.
That's the look. It says, what was the problem? Sent an email to me. Want to fill me in? Number two.
I don't remember seeing it now when I looked through it.
Can you guys hear him?
He's got two things, he's got two connections going.
Yeah, they can't hear you. No. Yeah, try that.
Can you hear me now?
Yep, you're gonna have to get out of the other one.
Okay, yep, I can all that going crazy. Okay. Can you hear me now? What I gotta do? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, but we gotta shut the other part off.
Okay, I did though, so I gotta shut my phone off, you mean, or what? Or I'm not in it on my computer anymore. Oh. Oh, this ain't working. God dang it.
Yes, it is. We can hear you, Mark. We can see you and we can hear you. Can you hear us? Please bear with us just a couple more minutes.
Mayor, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Mark. Can you hear us?
I can hear you. I can't see you, but that's fine. I apologize. Go ahead and start the meeting.
All right,
I can hear everything you're saying, so.
We can see you. So,
Okay,
as
good.
you can tell, Commissioner Simmons is virtual this evening and the star of the show so far. And so I'd ask that you all silence your telephones while we're in the commission meeting this evening. And with that, we'll call it to order, and we join me for a Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, and welcome to the January 3rd, our first meeting for 2023. With that, the first order of business is to approve the order of the agenda. Commissioners?
Make motion to approve.
Thank you, Commissioner Olson. Is there a second, please?
Second.
Commissioner Anderson seconds. Been moved and seconded to approve the order of the agenda as presented. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I didn't hear Mark. Is he?
Aye.
Oh, there it is. Thank you. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Item D is to approval of the minutes of December 19th, our last meeting, 2022. It's on pages 3 through 6. It has been distributed.
Make a motion to approve.
Thank you, Commissioner George. Is there a second, please?
Second.
Commissioner Olson seconds. Been moved and seconded to approve the minutes of December 19th, 2022. They are on pages 3 through 6, and they have been distributed. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. The building permit has been distributed. It's on pages 7 through 9. Are there any additions or questions that you have, Commissioners?
Move we approve.
Thank you, Commissioner Olson. Is there a second, please?
Second.
Commissioner Anderson seconds. Been moved and seconded to approve the building permit report as presented, pages 7 through 9 in the packet. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. Next order of business is the consent agenda. There it is on items A through F, pages starting on page 10 and ending on page 24.
Make motion to approve.
Thank you, Commissioner Olson. Is there a second, please?
Second.
Commissioner George seconds. Been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda as presented, items A through F, pages 10 through 24. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. Moving into the regular agenda. First item on the agenda is the second reading of ordinance number 1217 relating to the extermination of insects and vermin. Fargo Cast Public Health Director of Environmental Services, Good evening, Grant. Nice to have you with us.
Good evening, Commissioner, President, and fellow commissioners.
Please go ahead.
Like you said, my name's Grant Larson, Director of Environmental Health at Fargo Public Health. This is the second reading of this ordinance. Tina was good enough to cover it for me for the first reading because I was under the weather. Basically, what we do in the health department is we have some ordinances that we mirror in West Fargo that we implement. And this is one of them that we'd like adopted because the same exterminators that treat roaches and bed bugs and vermin and stuff that are in West Fargo and Fargo, we can do transparency on both sides of the border. So that's kind of what we're looking for here. And they're the subject matter experts as far as to inspect, treat, and monitor those, and that's who we default to. So having a list of professional ones that we can give to somebody that has a problem is what we're looking for.
Very good. Commissioners, do you have any questions for Mr. Larson? None? What's your pleasure?
I'll make the motion to approve second reading.
Thank you, Commissioner Olson. Been moved. Is there a second, please?
Second.
Commissioner Anderson seconds. Been moved and seconded to approve the second reading of ordinance number 1217 relating to the extermination of insects and vermin as presented by Fargo Cast Public Health Director Grant Larson. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Larson. Item number 2 on the regular agenda is professional consulting and engineering services for sanitation, utility rate and operation study with Burns and McDonnell Engineering Company Incorporated. Mr. Matt Anbick, Public Works Director. It is in the packet on pages 31 through 52. Good evening, Mr. Anbick.
Good evening, President, Commissioners. Thank you. If you give me 1 second, I'll pull the presentation up here. I'll adjust it so I can see here a little bit. And I just closed out of it. Technology is fun. Here we go. Tonight, for your, for approval is what I'm looking for is kind of basically a sanitation operational study. And with that, kind of the rate study to go along with that. It's more, I guess last time I had talked about it previously, it kind of came across as a rates and route study. And this is more of an operational plan and to where we want to be with the needs of the community and then coming up with rates that will get us to that point. So as you can see, why we need that, this study is what we're looking for is to accommodate the growth, and meet the future needs of our fast growing city. We need to catch up for that past growth and kind of have a plan on where we want to be on that future growth. Get an idea of what our staffing, equipment, and how much this is going to cost in the future. And then just have the appropriate and transparent sanitation rates. Just so we have a strong understanding of why we would need to change the rates and do what we're doing and be transparent on that process throughout the entire situation. And then 2, we'd like to get, our future vision is with that 2.0 plan that you go back to, that we want to evaluate the city's recycling program and identify opportunities to maximize the return on investment and kind of be innovative with waste management. And those are 2 of the things that we'd like to get back to. Kind of why now is pushing that is that waste management contract is coming up in April of 2024. So now would be the time to get the study completed so we have our options on what we can do going forward in the future with recycling. Is it, a different contract? Is it putting another RFP out? Is it taking it over for the city? We can look at those options in this study. Different options that are a transfer station with adding a compactor, will that help? Ordering any kind of equipment right now just kind of is extending, right now you're probably 24 months plus before we're going to see any kind of vehicle. And this kind of just allows us to do that by putting it through this way. This RFP process started almost a year ago. We put it out for an RFP. Burns and McDonnell was one of 5 that we decided to go with, and it was more based on qualifications than actual cost. They came in, at the highest through the selection committee that we had. We went through and we talked to them later, as long as we were going to put that in the 2023 budget, they were okay with prolonging their proposal and moving forward with that as well and working with us on that. The big question that I've kind of got is, what's the benefit of using a consultant over staff? You know, I've gotten the question a few times is, you know, can't we do this in-house, and why do we need, you know, a consultant to do this? The big thing that they have is they have a little bit more resources than we do to industry standards, and they do this for a living. They're able to go see proven, you know, approaches that have worked in other communities, where we don't have to reinvent the wheel and move forward with it. So they might be able to see what we do in our community and say, okay, we worked with X city over here and it worked for them, and we can, you know, use that, and you can keep your costs down by doing what they did. So they just have a little bit more reach than we do to find that, that information and, you know, have that detailed data to back up any kind of recommendations we have moving forward. And we've got to refine this core study components. You know, we want to really look at our existing conditions and review our assessment of where we're at and what we have and how we can use it better or more efficient. You know, move to maybe a 4-day garbage pickup or recycle schedule, or, you know, just little small operational things that we can do to maybe kind of save costs here and there. And then we really want to hone in on that operations and service analysis. That's one thing when we're doing, kind of going through with our strategic plan with Chief Fuller here this last few months. One thing we have heard from residents is that they really like our services. They like having the service for the sanitation they have in West Fargo. The biggest thing that I'd like to get out of this study too is, okay, this is what is expectations of residents. How can we afford that? How can we make it efficient? How can we make it basically cost effective for everybody involved to keep that? And then that rate analysis is part of that to see, okay, that's the expectation of service. How do we fund that? How do we get to that point? Are there any ways that we can do to be able to subsidize those rates to keep them down? And just an implementation plan report. So the goal of this for me is to come up with at least 3 options to bring forward to the commission after this is done, that for the recommendations from Burns McDonald and Beering Associates is, these are the options that we can do, and this is what's going to cost us, and this is what it's going to be our fee structure for the next 5 years. So it's not, you know, have a huge jump in our rates in 1 year and then nothing for 5 to 10 years and then another huge jump. I'd like to have it structured so everybody can kind of budget and see where we're going to be at. With that, I'll stand for any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Andrick. Commissioners, questions? Commissioner
Mayor?
Anderson. Commissioner Anderson is first.
Okay.
So thank you for the back and forth that we've had over the last few days. Appreciate all the answers here to all the questions I've had. One question I've thought about here recently is, have we done anything kind of in-house already? I know I've kind of asked that a little bit, but have we done anything with kind of looking at some of the things, seeing if there's anything that we can tweak or, you know, change or what have you to kind of improve efficiencies, things like that? Or, you know, could you tell me if anything's been done?
Yes, we have. I mean, since we kind of came up with this study and this is part of our scope, we kind of got narrowed down because of some of the things we have done in-house. We did have in the budget last year and purchased a routing software that we implemented in the fall, and that has really helped find some efficiencies and streamlined our routes so we know we're not missing areas. So that has helped, but that's, with that, this study, we're basically trying to narrow it down where they can help us how to use that more efficiently and how we can get the most out of what we're paying for. You know, I mean, there's things that we can do, but they have seen it in use in other places, and that's what we're kind of looking for, their expertise to just kind of hone it in where we can find it. And Logan's been doing great, really narrowing that down, and it has helped a ton to try and, you know, basically so we don't have to go back so much. You know, every time we go back, it's probably $50 to $100 if we got to go back and pick something up, you know, our costs. And that way, the more we can do that, the cheaper we can keep it. But yeah, we have started looking at that, and we do have ideas that we'd like to work with them on things that we'd like to see, and have ideas that there's those efficiencies out there, like maybe a new inert that we can do something like that. But I want to look at them and lean on them to get those true numbers on what we can actually be realistically looking at maybe at revenue or income from a new landfill compared to what we think we would get.
Okay. All right. I have one more.
Please follow up. Yep.
All right. So I guess during this, if we proceed with this, the concern I have is always with the residents, with changing the rate fees, things like that. So I know that's down the road with this. I think I just would ask that we make sure we're including the residents and that we really truly do get an understanding of what their expectations are and what they're willing to, pay for services too. Right. So that's something that I'd be looking for. Wherever that lies within this process.
Yeah, and that's we had a little back and forth on that, and I think this fits in really well. What our expectation is to come up with those three options. With that, I'd like to present it, to the commission that way, and that would give us time in between presenting it and voting on any kind of changes, time for public opinion or maybe a town hall or something like that to give that feedback. So, and that's the whole point with this is getting that truly transparent and having the data to back that up as why are we charging X amount of dollars? And if we can show that, it might be a little bit more easy for somebody to say, okay, well, I'm paying $5 more a month. Why is that? And if we can show them that and have them have a say in it, it's exactly, I think, what you're looking for.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Simmons.
Thank you, Mayor. So my question, I guess, is one thing is, if we're not putting the cart ahead of the horse here a little bit, and I'm not opposed to bringing this back, but I'm wondering about John. We already had voted on this on a 3-2 and it failed. And just to bring it back up again, if it's different or something, or John has a reason how we can do this, I don't want to set a precedent where all of a sudden we're voting things down and coming back up again. So I'd like to know the reasoning, I guess, behind how this is coming back up again.
I guess.
Mr. Shockley's not with us this evening. We have Sarah with us. Just for your information, Mark.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commission President and Commissioners. I had a discussion with Mr. Anvik before the meeting, and it's my understanding that the parameters of the study have somewhat changed along with the cost and whether or not it was included as a budgetary item. So based on my discussion with him, it does appear to be a new agreement, essentially, that could come back, and I guess I would defer to Mr. Anvik if I'm understanding that correctly.
Yeah, compared to the one that I had brought back previously in March of last year, since that time we'd narrowed the scope down. So we changed a few of the parameters of what we were exactly looking for. Like I told Commissioner Anderson when we had already now purchased the software, we kind of took that part out and just narrowed down that focus, and then being a slight cost increase. So like Ms. Worth said, it's somewhat of a new agreement, same premise, just new agreement from what I had brought before.
So is Mayor, is the commission okay with doing that, just letting it go at that? Or, I mean, is that closure or protocol type, or should we actually bring it back to make it so our citizens understand what we're doing?
All right. So previously, it was a non item in the budget of 2022. The difference here is that when Mr. Anvik redid this, he put it in his 2023 budget, of which we approved as a commission. It's number 418 on their expenses under professional services. Now, that's a $100,000 line item. This is $105,500. So then if you go back up to the item number 307 in the expenses, line item 307 is contract services, and there's additional dollars there, and that's for where the 5,500. But you ask an interesting question. Before we get to that, if I could, Commissioner Simmons, I'm going to call on Commissioner Olson has questions and comments.
I was just going to ask Commissioner Anderson if your question was, is the study going to involve the public before it gets to a commission meeting? Is that what you're trying to get at?
No, what I'm trying to get at is that we before we start changing any rates or anything like that, that we're actually getting feedback from the residents, and when we have options of what things cost, what kind of service level expectations that the residents have. And there might be an element to the study, I don't know, but I want to make sure that if we're looking at rates, like everything else, prices are going up.
Right.
So we want to understand, do we hold and cut services, or do we keep our services same and increase rates? I want to get an understanding of from the residents what they're comfortable with. So that's where I'm at.
I just didn't know if that was to be part of the study too, to have a public input meeting, but at the same time, if everybody's costs are going up, but nobody wants to give up any services, but they don't want to pay for any additional services, well, there comes to be a hard
Right.
rock.
Yep. Yep.
So, okay, thank you for the clarification.
Thank you. Commissioner George?
I guess just a comment. So I've been having meetings with Matt and Logan on this topic for many months now. And a lot of times I'm not hugely supportive of these types of studies, especially when so expensive. But I think this one is really important. There's so many different aspects of it that are so important. You know, like you said, the level of service. It's not just that. It's so much more than that. You know, can the cost of this pay for this service? Do we need to do larger cans or different sizes cans? Can we still pay up certain materials? At what time does service get too expensive? You know, I don't want to cut service. That's huge for me, but at what cost is that service going to save? And then we have the inert landfill. That's like a whole nother beast, a whole nother, and can the money we bring in from the inert landfill pay for, new facilities? And there's just so many different components of this. It's hard to explain just sitting here in a meeting. Like I said, it's been months and hours of discussing different components of this study. And I do think this would be valuable both for the community and the right thing for the residents. So that's where I'm at.
And I'd like to thank you, Commissioner George, for sitting on that committee, for representing the commission. Thank you for that. Commissioner Simmons has raised a question to the commission with regard to this item being brought back. Normally, an item to be brought back has to be brought back by an individual on the prevailing side that voted that way. As our legal counsel has indicated, the scope of work has changed substantially, and obviously the dollar amount is different. So I'm going to defer to the commissioners. I don't think it's in my purview to make that decision. Are you all right with we continue to have this discussion and vote on this evening? And I guess Commissioner Simmons, go ahead.
Thank you. Yeah. I think just to make it so it's proper, I'd make the motion to actually bring it back to reconsideration, if that's what it takes, and then we'll vote again. I guess I want the public to understand kind of, that we just didn't put this on and bring it back, that we're doing it the proper way.
All right, so I have a motion to reconsider, to bring this back. Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner George seconds. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. We'll continue with the discussion on your study map. So, any additional questions for Mr. Anvik? So, as Matt has indicated, some of the most positive comments that we get is from our sanitation services and the employees that represent our city in that. If you've ever used the transfer station, the gentleman that runs the transfer station is the most personable, warm, helpful guy that I think I've ever met in my life. He is an exceptional employee out there, and he's got a tough, dirty job, but I'll tell you what, he's all smiles, and it's amazing. Now, the transfer station, I know, will be part of this discussion because Mr. Anvik and I and Logan, we've had conversations about that over the last 4 or 5 years. So there's that service is provided free to the public, and it's expensive to run in the sense of what we do with that refuse once it's delivered there. So initially, I don't like things like this myself, but I've been giving it a lot of thought over the last 48 hours when we all engaged in asking additional questions from Mr. Anvik. And so I'm glad that Commissioner Simmons brought the motion back to bring it back. So with that, any other comments that anyone would like to make? Again, Mr. Anvik is asking us for consulting services and engineering services to the tune of $105,500 to do this study. It's to be conducted in 6 months. And I understand that legal counsel, as Sarah has indicated, has reviewed this. I didn't like some of the language that's in the agreement. I visited with Mrs. Fisk about those items this morning. So we might have to have another discussion with the final wording in the contract, because there's some things in there that I find objectionable.
Okay.
Would that need to be part of the motion?
I don't believe so. It's a couple of single line items where it says the agreement says they're not to exceed $105,500. But in the body of the contract, it says that they can charge overtime for certain employees. So to me, it's a contradiction and a concern.
Okay.
I caught that too, so.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, commissioners, anything else? Anything additional that you want to bring forward?
I'd make a motion to approve.
Thank you, Commissioner George. Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Anderson seconds. It's been moved and seconded to approve the professional consulting and engineering services for sanitation, utility rate, and operations as presented by Mr. Anvik this evening. It's on pages 31 through 52 in the packet. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries on a 5-0 vote.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Anvik, I would ask in dealing with when you're dealing with your consultant and the like, and I see that Mr. Burrian is in the audience this evening, I would also ask that you keep Commissioner Anderson's comments in mind when you start having however the public input is going to be on this, and the awareness and those types of things, that the public be kept abreast of this, obviously through our communications department and the like.
We will.
That is a contingent a point that Commissioner Anderson made. Next item is an Improvement District 2270, a traffic signal at 9th Street West and 32nd Avenue West. Mr. Dan Hansen, our city engineer. It is on pages 53 to 59 in the packet. And part of this discussion this evening will include a public hearing for the resolution of necessity, approve the resolution of insufficient protests, and direct engineers to prepare plans and specifications. Welcome, Mr. Hansen.
Thank you, Commissioner President and Commissioners. In your packet is just what he described. What we're asking for tonight is for approval to move forward with plans and specifications for the design of the geometric change of that intersection, as well as the installation of the signals at it. A while back, we did approve the resolution of necessity, which we did advertise, bringing us to tonight. So I believe the first activity that we need to do is to go into that public hearing and hear from the public if there's any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Hansen. With that, we are now out of our regular agenda items, and we are in a public hearing. The public hearing is for the resolution of necessity, approve a resolution of insufficient protests, and direct an engineer to plans and specifications for Improvement District number 2270, a traffic signal at 9th Street West and 32nd Avenue West. We are now in the public hearing. Is there anyone that would like to speak on this issue? Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak on this issue? Item number 3, Improvement District number 2270. Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak on Improvement District number 2270 this evening? Hearing none, the public hearing is closed. We're back in the regular agenda.
Thank you,
Please
Commissioner President
continue,
Ardis.
Mr. Hanson.
One thing that I would like to mention is that we have received 7 email or letter correspondences from people that have protested the public improvement, and though those do not constitute enough protests in the large amount of letters that went out to stop the project. So that's why instead of having a resolution that declares no protest, we do have a resolution that determines that any protests that we have received are not of sufficient to stop the improvement district from moving forward if the commission so chooses.
So on these 7 protests, has anyone from the city of West Fargo reached out to those people to further educate them or answer any of their questions that they might have, the points that they make in their correspondence to you?
I have not. They were initially emailed into the city. I believe they went through Dina and Eric, our special assessment coordinator, and they were all forwarded on to the city attorney, John Shockley, as well. But I'm not aware of any correspondence that's happened with them.
Mrs. Fish, do you have anything to add?
Thank you, Commission President Ardis. What I do when I receive a protest is I reply to them and let them know that their protest was received and that it's been sent to the appropriate individual so that it can be recorded as a protest. We don't generally, unless they ask a specific question, we don't generally reply because otherwise if you have a large district, you could spend all day. But if there's questions, yes, we do reply, either myself or Eric. We've done that.
Very good. Commissioner George, please.
Just a quick question. With those protests, is there any consistency or theme specifically in the letters as far as what portion of it they don't like or what is, I mean, is it the special assessment portion? Is it the stoplight specifically? I'm just wondering.
Just to kind of summarize a couple of the things that I remember from them was, in general, several of them didn't believe that special assessments should be used for this, and that it should be funds that are from the general fund that pay for these type of improvements. One person had mentioned that the stoplight should have went in when the 32nd was constructed originally. However, signals aren't installed until there's warrants for signals. So it wasn't until just recently that that intersection actually had the traffic counts to warrant the signal, and that's what initiated this project, was those traffic counts. So they just didn't understand the timing of the installation of traffic signals. And then there was another one that was just questioning, or I'm sorry, 2 of them that was questioning if the special assessment policy that we have is adequate to actually levy special assessments for this improvement.
Okay.
I have a question for Mrs. Fisk. This intersection is unique in the sense that it's relatively new, and part of it is the geometry realignment, which is a figure, the number I have in the back of my mind is $380,000 for the geometry realignment, and then there's the cost of the 4-way stop signal being the rest of it, because it's over $800,000. Am I correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so with regard to the geometry realignment, is that something that a different source of revenue could be used for to help these citizens there? Because, you know, again, it's a lot of money. I had 2 county commissioners that follow our commission meetings call me and says, Bernie, how can you spend that type of money on a traffic signal? And that they didn't understand the geometry realignment. So please.
If I could, recently we had bid out a 3-way intersection on 9th and 10th, 10th Avenue, 9th Street Northeast, and that the total cost for that project were estimated to be, when we get to the end of that, as it's been bid, at $535,000. So we're close to $550,000 for that improvement. That was only a 3-way that is a 4-way intersection, but The difference being is that there was no geometric alignment change with that one. And so, yeah, the difference would be inflation. Another difference would be that there's contingencies in this number because we haven't bid it out yet as compared to the number I just quoted, which was a bid that we actually have. So there are some contingencies in this to make sure that we're not trying to look through the rose-colored glasses at the dollar amount, and then we would just proceed with the design from this point, and then after the design is done, we would come back and get authorization to go out for bids.
Thank you for that clarification. Mrs. Fisk?
Yes, President Dardis, thank you. There's always the option for the commission to choose to pay for a portion of a project with whether it's capital improvement sales tax or some of the other funds that we have, such as you did with Cheyenne Street, on the road diet, as well as the southern part of Cheyenne. We generally do have some projects that happens to. I don't know if we've done it for a street light, but at this point, it's definitely a commission decision. You can put
It's a
funds
discussion we
towards
can
that.
have later on.
Exactly. Yep.
All right. Commissioner George?
I apologize if this was already covered before, but to put a stoplight up, do you have to do the geometry of that intersection as well? Does that have to happen? Because it seems like that's a big part of the cost.
No, we could just put up a signal. However, right now, there is, and no, we haven't talked about it today. It's been discussed in the past, but just to bring it back forward. Right now, there are several intersections in West Fargo that we're looking to correct. We've got 2 of them that we've got some grant money that we had applied for that are going to be done in the future, where they're negative turning moments. So if you take a look at a lot of your left turns, there are some left turns where there's generally it happens when there is a physical concrete median or a median in the roadway. So you've seen the blinking left arrow signals around town. That's become pretty much the norm. Back when these roadways were constructed, that typically wasn't done, and this configuration wasn't a standard. They were all constructed at the standards at the time. However, if you have been driving around and there's some places where you have a left turn signal, but the car in front of you that's also taking a left turn is blocking your view of the traffic, then you have to kind of almost ease out through the intersection to see around that person, almost taking yourself into the lane of oncoming traffic. So a lot of those type of situations, we just don't allow the flashing left turn. And so by doing this geometric change to the intersection, we'll be able to allow people to have very good sight distance, creating a safer situation and more traffic flow.
Who would have designed this in the first place? Would the city have designed it this way back? I mean, I know you weren't here to do that, but just like typically, would this have been city or a developer in that neighborhood that would have designed it?
No, this would have been, and again, I wasn't a part of the city at the time, but this typically would have been designed through a consultant because we're not talking about a residential development. This is one of our major collector streets, 32nd. So this would have been typically designed by a consultant. And the other thing is with these roadways, it actually has to have some DOT approval as well. For example, when this project came up, we needed to submit this project and the warrants for the traffic signal to the DOT and prove to them that it's warranted. And that kind of reinforces the argument why we didn't put one in before, is because we didn't have the warrant. Now that we do have the warrant, so it would have been designed by a consultant, is my understanding, but it also would have went through city review. It would have definitely been reviewed by the city, but it also would have been reviewed by the DOT at the time, I believe.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Commissioner?
Just a comment that with the construction of the FM diversion and possible growth to our west on that corridor would be another reason why we'd really want to make these changes at this time rather than waiting until there is development and have more traffic coming through there, is how I view this.
Yeah, and we have had a lot of requests because there are schools in the neighborhood, and there are a lot of kids that are crossing 32nd at that intersection to get up to the school. We have had discussions with the school who wants something done at that intersection as well. So this isn't just a traffic warrant thing, it's also a safety issue for kids crossing the street to get to school.
I drove it several times this weekend when I was attending the great hockey over there at the lights, and to get a better understanding of what you're talking about with the geometric changes that need to take place. So it's unique. It really is. Commissioner George?
So, I mean, here's my problem with it is I'm not against doing it. It's the special assessment district. I mean, we just said this is like a major thoroughfare. The city would have approved this. That's, you know, the school. It's not just this neighborhood that, you know, is using this, or so. It's my problem with it is the special assessment district here. So.
And I've brought up on the screen the district that we had talked about in the past, and if you take a look where the location of the project is on 32nd Avenue and 9th Street, it's just not the localized neighborhood, it's actually quite a large district, basically because if you take a look, there is another signal that'll eventually go in on 40th and 9th, and then so the reason for the southern portion of the boundary is we didn't want to overlap this signal with that future signal. So this boundary that we're showing right here would be used for this signal, and then when we do that future project, that would also be the northern boundary. From the north side, as far as that goes, this is the first arterial roadway that's going east-west, so everybody to the north of that roadway was included in the special assessment district. And again, this assessment district map is preliminary because eventually it does go to other committees, the Special Assessment Committee, and eventually coming back in front of the commission for final certification as well.
Okay, so this is not really for Dan so much as all of us sitting up here. Then what he just described is this is going to come up again and again and again and again in multiple neighborhoods. So procedurally, is this how we want to keep doing it or not? I don't like this. I feel like we need a better plan, you know, so.
Do you have?
How could it come up again and again?
Because he just said it was going to.
Other neighborhoods.
Other neighborhoods in the area. He said the boundaries are because it's going to come up in multiple neighborhoods and he doesn't want to overlap the special assessment districts. So if we're going to have this over and over again, is that how this commission wants to keep paying for this, is using special assessments, or do we want to do it another way? This is something procedurally we can deal with right now. So.
Right, yeah, you can think about that, but this district won't be hit again for a similar project that is 8 blocks further south. A different entire district would be formulated, so I hear you again and again, but these people in this district, which I live in, won't be hit again for a future project of similar nature. I mean, all we're being asked to do tonight is to approve the resolution of necessity and to direct the plans and specs. We can get into all the Y4s and that, and how it's going to get paid for at a later date.
I'm just concerned that this is exact plan is what we're going to see over and over, because that's what I've been seeing the last few years is we approve something now, it's going to be the same thing that's presented over and over. It's not going to change.
Well, whenever we grow to a new neighborhood, if we get into the northwest part of the quadrant of the city, this is what's going to happen all over again.
Don't we have a potential at 16th too, Dan?
At 16th, you're talking?
Is it 16th?
26th, are you talking?
There's a 26th.
26th has a on Cheyenne has a
street light.
Street light.
Yeah.
That one does have a street.
But there's property there that it's, there's been discussions over the years about that being developed.
Mm-hmm.
And that would there'd have to be a geometric change there too.
Are you talking this this site that I'm highlighting right up on the screen there?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. There has been talk of development in there. Currently, it's a poor situation.
To Maddie's point and to Brad's point, Brad said that there probably wouldn't be anything here. There's that potential. I would guess at that street.
If you recall at the last commission meeting, we actually had a petition for improvements on that street where we did talk about moving forward with entering into an agreement with the developer, and then we would come back to create the district at a later date for that. That district would, at the last commission meeting, I said that district likely would be the property that's being developed. However, Obviously, improvements to that roadway does benefit the area. It's just, what would the commission decide that they would want to use for a district on that particular project? Can I say that there's zero chance of that being proposed to be a district that involves this neighborhood again? No. But the original likelihood of it when I was talking at the last commission meeting was that parcel would likely be the improvement district for that.
Okay, very good. Thank you for clarification. So as we move forward then, it's a good conversation to have, Commissioner George. I agree with you. But at the same time, we should take a look at, some of these existing neighborhoods that have collector streets in them. And now, because of continued development and growth, there's new circumstances because of traffic. And, to your point, is there something else that the city should do or take a different approach to assisting in the funding of it? Okay. So, but that's not for this evening.
No.
So, commissioners, any other questions on item number 3, the improvement district at 2270? Okay. What's your pleasure?
Make a motion to approve.
Thank you, Commissioner Simmons. It's been moved to approve Improvement District 2270, the resolution of necessity, and approve resolution of insufficient protest, and direct the engineer to prepare plans and specifications. Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Olson seconds. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries 4-1 vote. Item number 4, projects number 1343, sanitary lift station rehabilitation, SA 2, 3, 12, and 15. Approve the plans and specifications and direct the advertisement for bids. Mr. Hanson.
Let me get it up here on the screen here. Thank you. This project here is our ongoing upgrade of the sanitary lift stations in town. This is the next set of lift stations that we were going to improve. And it's nice this time that we're actually ahead of the curve as far as bidding goes. If you recall, in the past, we've tried to we have bought equipment ahead of the bid to make sure that we're able to secure it. We've actually done a decent job of getting this out in a timely fashion where we're not coming forward to the commission asking to purchase any equipment. We're just looking to move forward with advertising this project for bids. And then I would add to this, there's another project that we're looking at talking about next, project number 4068. And the only thing that I would bring up about that is that those two projects are very similar in nature. That's a storm lift station that we're improving the lift station, as well as doing some relining, which on this project we also have some relining. So I would just add that with this project number 1343, the intention would be for economies of scale to bid those two projects together. We would track the costs separately. They'd be bid out as a Part A and a Part B, but we would be looking to bid those projects together. If we get to the next project and you deny that from going to bids, we can just bid this one without that one. So we're not tying anything by your motion or approval tonight with this, but I just wanted to know that it is tied to a future, the next item on the agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Hanson. Questions?
More of a comment.
Please.
I watched a show on Discovery Channel on Sunday night called Sewer Divers. And if you ever get a chance, take a look at that, watch that show. It's a brand new one. If you want to get an idea of what a municipal sewer system looks like in the depths of the bowels, take a look at that. And there's some horrible things that look in there, and then I just want to make sure we keep everybody here healthy above the ground versus what's happening underground that could leak out and all that kinds of stuff. So I'll make the motion to approve the plans and specs and direct advertising for bids.
Thank you, Commissioner Olson. We have a motion to approve project number 1343. Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Anderson seconds. Been moved and seconded to approve project number 1343, sanitary lift station rehabilitation, as presented by Mr. Hanson, is to approve the plans and specifications and direct the advertisement for bids. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Mr. Hanson. Please continue on number 5. Project number 4068, storm lift station, force main rehabilitation. Approve the plans and specifications and direct advertisement for bids. Please continue.
Thank you, Commissioner President Dardis and Commissioners. This is much the same of what I just described for the other project. Our consultant has completed the plans and specifications, and we're looking to go out for bids. If you recall, this is the storm lift station that evacuates the storm water from the McMahon's addition, and so we would be improving that lift station, the control panels within it, as well as relining some of the force main, which is in close proximity to other force main that was installed on that same project that has been known to leak. So we would be looking to get approval to go out for bids for this.
Okay. Questions for Mr. Hanson?
Move to approve.
Thank you, Commissioner George. Is there a second, please?
Second.
Commissioner Olson seconds. Been moved and seconded to approve project number 4068, a storm lift station, force main rehabilitation. Approve the plans and specifications and direct for advertisement of bids. It's on pages 68 to 74 of the packet. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Mr. Hanson. We'll move on to item number 6. It's the Wilds 22nd Edition, Improvement District number 1344. Accept a petition for improvements and authorize preliminary engineering. Mr. Hanson, it's on pages 75 through 83 in the packet.
Thank you, Commissioner President Dardis and Commissioners. We have received a petition from Westport Investments LLC, who is requesting improvements to service the Wilds 22nd Edition. This is the last open greenfield phase of the Wilds additions. Everything that they have proposed, we've been in discussions with. They are currently in the process of moving the plat forward through planning and zoning, so that's going well. There's been some drafts on the developers agreement with Westport Investments LLC, so things are moving along very well. We'd like to get started with preliminary engineering by approving this tonight, accepting the petition, which also includes proof of ownership of that parcel. And I can bring the preliminary plat up on the screen if you'd like, so you can see where it's located. With this, we would be able to move forward with a consultant and allow them to get started on a feasibility study that we would be able to use to create the engineer's report and come back to give an estimated cost. This project would be funded entirely with special assessments from the petitioner.
Mr. Hanson, has discussions been with Public Works? I see that there's 2 cul-de-sacs in there. I know that early on this discussion has been going round and round about the additional cost of what that means to the city for snow removal and hauling snow and all of those types of things. I thought that there was a discussion where we were going to try and deter them from cul-de-sac.
With the feeling of Mr. Anvik's eyes on the back of my head, I can say that there has been discussions, and I believe...
You ought to see the faces he's made.
What I would say is that this is a bit of a tough situation because this is the last phase of something that's fitting in within several other plats. There was some discussion. There is some additional costs every additional cul-de-sac with snow removal because you have to truck the snow out of it and things like that. So there are some additional costs. There's some additional time in snow removal and things of that nature. However, what I can say is that Public Works has been at the meetings that we've been at, are aware of it, and I believe begrudgingly are in approval of moving forward with this one. And hopefully when we're looking at new developments in the future where we have a an empty pallet that we would be able to help avoid cul-de-sacs, but it's just really, really tough with this situation. So given that, yes, they have and are in approval of it.
Just wanted to make sure that Public Works has been part of the dialogue. Very good. Commissioners, any questions for Mr. Hanson on this one?
Make motion to approve.
Thank you, Commissioner Olson. Is there a second, please?
Second.
Commissioner Simmons seconds. Been moved and seconded to approve the Wilds 22nd Edition Improvement District Number 1344. Accept the petition of improvements and authorize preliminary engineering. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. Item number 7 is the MetroCog Surface Transportation and Block Grant application that we've sent in, pages 84 to 102, and it's to approve the grant applications and authorize the commission president to sign the applications.
Thank you, Commissioner President Dardis and Commissioners. That's exactly right. We're looking to submit these 3 projects that are listed for a grant application. This is the same grant application that we were awarded funds that we're using towards the reconstruction of 9th Street Northeast. And so the 3 projects are 9th Street Northwest from Main till approximately 8th Avenue Northwest, and the reason it stops there is because it has been reconstructed in recent history north of there up to 12th. Center Street from Main to 12th, and then a larger project which would be completing Cheyenne Street from 40th Avenue West south to 52nd Avenue West, that new big roundabout that they're redoing this next summer, and then also continuing west on 52nd Avenue from Cheyenne Street to the city limits. We're likely not going to have that third one chosen as, to get the grant opportunity for, but we do want to have these projects submitted in the queue, so that way those authorities at MetroCog are aware of them. I can say that they are aware of them, and we do have a very good feeling about one of these projects being funded through this. So what this does is just approves us to submit the grant application. And with that, I'll
Questions for Mr. Hanson? Okay.
Make a motion to approve.
Thank you, Commissioner Simmons. Is there a second, please?
Second.
Commissioner Anderson seconds. Been moved and seconded to approve the grant applications and authorize the commission president to sign the applications. And it's the block grants. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Mr. Hanson.
Thank you.
Item number 8 is the hiring schedule for 2023 firefighters for the city of West Fargo. We'll call on Chief Dan Fuller, Fire Chief of the city of West Fargo, and he's requesting that the commission approve an altered hiring schedule. Good evening, Chief.
Good evening, Commission President Dardis, members of the commission. In front of you is a request to alter our hiring schedule for 2023. The requested action is just to, again, approve that hiring schedule. There's no funding mechanism tied to this outside of the fire department budget, just so everyone is aware of that. Currently, we have 1 new firefighter that we've already hired out of the budget, 2 battalion chiefs who we've just promoted, 9 new firefighters that were supposed to start in July, a receptionist in July, and a fire inspector in October. The request here is to move 3 of the firefighters from July to February and 6 firefighters from July to May. In making this change, it's going to allow our instructor cadre of the Joint Fire Academy to balance the number of probationary firefighters over 3 classes for 2023 and allow the fire department to staff the first engine company out of the new fire station by the time it's open, maybe a little after, by August. With current projected academy dates, half of the firefighters that will be assigned to that company are not going to be out of the academy before December. And so we'll have the station will be basically not functional, fully functional until the end of 23. The financial impact here is $146,840 in additional salary and benefits for the entire change, and the cost would be absorbed by the fire department budget. And if approved, 3 of the 9 new firefighters will begin in February. The remaining 6 will begin in May, and then all of them will be out of the academy and into the truck by August. With that request explained, I'll stand for any questions.
Questions, Commissioner, for the Chief, please. Commissioner Olson.
So, Chief Fuller, when we were going over the 2023 budget, and you outlined how you wanted to hire all 9 in July and so on and so forth, what has changed to alter, to move these up? Is there something with the academy dates, or is it because what's wrong with the old plan?
Yeah, the academy dates are really what we're running into as an issue. So we have, with the 2 battalion chiefs being promoted from inside, now we have to promote 2 captains, and we have to hire 2 firefighters to backfill. So that makes our numbers from 9 to 12 going through the academy this year. In addition, Fargo did get funded for their staffing for their new fire station. So they're going to have a large number of people coming in at the end of the year as well. And by doing it this way, one of the issues that I really hope we don't have to get into is that it gives us capacity at the end of the year to hire or put through anyone else that we need to in the academy. So if we have someone that doesn't pass the academy, for instance, and they don't come off probation and they're terminated as a city employee and I have to hire someone else, I'm going to have room in the fall to get it done. Where if we just push everyone to the fall, I'm not going to get everyone through, and we're going to be really up against a brick wall, and we'll have positions funded that we didn't even hire someone for by the end of the year.
So the change in salary, I understand why, because we're bringing them on before we anticipated, but will there also be a change in budget needed for equipment that you hadn't or don't have and you were planning on getting until July or whenever? So is that something we don't know here?
No, we had some efficiencies that we gained within our budget between the time the budget was drafted, which would have been April of last year, and now. Some of the long-term debt issues that we had, long-term debt solutions, were actually taken care of this past year. So that opened up some money in our budget there. Within our hiring schedule, we had some money opened up for that receptionist position that wouldn't be hired till July. It was actually in the budget in January. So that opened up some funds there. And then what I'm hoping to see here is an effective reduction in overtime costs by the end of the year. Because if I hire them in July and then send them to the academy, say in September, I got to backfill their spots with overtime from September to December until they come out. So that's
how you're
15 weeks of overtime saved.
46,000 is through that?
Yeah,
versus
and
cutting anything out of the budget and not purchasing it or not?
No, I'm not looking to see any changes on equipment or anything like that. But that is always an option that we have, is that we have some late year funding requests. We just won't put it through the budget. We'll move some stuff around. One of the things to point out too is that it says in here it's the maximum. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't put it in there. 146,000 is the maximum. Now that's based on the scenario that everyone we hire has a family health care plan. I know that's not going to be the case, actually. So the number will actually be less by trimming off some of the health care costs to single health care coverage.
And in all of our budgeting processes, that's the number we use.
Yeah, worst case scenario, for lack of better term. Maximum
I'm curious how
impact.
you're going to absorb that in the current budget without asking for additional, budget amendment.
Yep. We're really lucky that that's in the position we're at, where we're not coming forward to ask for additional money and to alter the hiring schedule. We're just asking to alter the hiring schedule.
Thank you.
Mayor?
Yep.
Commissioner Simmons, please.
Thank you. Just for the commission to know, I did sit down with the chief, and we had a good discussion, conversation on this. And I actually agree with him a lot. I think it's a wise move on our part to get these people hired in through the academy. So later on in the year, if something comes up, you know, we're not in a pickle, and it isn't going to cost us any more money. The chief has done a very good job of finding the funds, him and Tina. So I think it's a great, a wise move on our part.
Thank you, Commissioner Simmons. Anyone else? Questions for the chief? Having participated in the Fire Academy graduations the last 4 years, the training that these young men and women go through is extraordinary and prepares them well for this. So if that's the reasoning is because of the dates of the academy classes and the like, it's something that we should give serious consideration to, without question. They come out very well prepared, both for their safety and the people that they're working for, and they're well trained to help the public. So what is your pleasure, commissioners?
I'd make a motion to approve.
Thank you, Commissioner Simmons. Is there a second, please?
Second.
Commissioner George seconds. Been moved and seconded to approve the altering of the hiring schedules for Chief Fuller and his fire department in 2023. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Item number 9, the City Administrator's Report. Mrs. Fisk.
Good evening, Commission President and Commissioners. I don't have a lot of items, but I just did want to kind of report because we've been going through a lot of ups and downs in some of our departments as far as staffing. Our IT department is almost at full staff, and the staff we have is doing an amazing job. The finance department hired their accountant today, so they're almost at full staff, and so things there should start rolling forward. And when Judy can get some of her protocols in place, we'll be able to start giving you some financial statements and answering more of your questions on that. That's been the holdup. She's been doing an amazing job. Other than that, staff is just working on projects. We're continuing discussions on the P3 and other items. Our economic development manager has been extremely busy meeting with developers and other businesses, so things are going really well.
All right. Questions for Mrs. Fisk, anyone?
Yes, I do.
Please, Commissioner.
Any estimated time as to when our assessing and GIS will be moving from here to down south?
Thank you very much for bringing that up, Commissioner Olson. Yes, actually, I spoke with our assessing director, Nick Lee, today, and they feel that everything at the new location for them and GIS will be ready by the end of the week. So they're going to start moving some boxes over and hopefully get settled next week. So that is their plan. The sign is up, and they seem ready to go, but I don't know if we're ready to let them go. So.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else for us?
No, thank you.
All right, thank you. Commissioners, anything for Tina? All right, thank you. Any correspondence? I imagine that you've copied and shared with us if there was any. Commissioners, do you have any non-agenda items? Staff, do you have any non-agenda items? Mr. Anvik, could I ask you to come back to the platform, please, or the podium? To quit grimacing. Just wanted to ask about, all the storms, the weather that we've had. How's your team doing? I think they're doing an exceptional job, but how are they doing with overtime and your salt budget and brine and all of that type of, just a general overview, no specifics.
Budget's good right now because we're in 2023, but last year wasn't so good. No, they've been actually doing really well. We've been kind of being really conscious of trying to get, we went there for about 2 weeks, so almost 24 hours, and then really try to get that back down to about 10-hour days. And then now this last week, we really tried to just do 8s to see where we're at. But with that, they're kind of fresh and you can kind of just gauge on where they're at by how much they joke in the morning. So it's been pretty good the last few days that have been there, and we've had volunteers that come in, on Christmas and different things like that when we had those storms to be able to come in, and we've had a lot of volunteers. So we haven't had a problem, not being staffed.
So
out.
staffing's not been an issue for you?
No, we still have some openings, so if you know anybody out there, we do have some out there. But for us, everybody's just been kind of all hands on deck and really been getting out there. This week, we're really trying to get into those maintenance zones and cut those things curb to curb to really start get that, get the streets back to where we want them to be. We can tell that we're in those zones because we are getting majority more phone calls, people upset about the snow being in their driveway, which, it's one of those things where we try not to do it, but when we're cutting that snow and we almost had 30 inches in December, it's hard not to, especially living in North Dakota. So, we keep trying to come up with ideas on how to not do that, but we're still working on, everybody's still working on things on how to try to do that. And so
Your equipment standing up?
for the most part, yep. There's, when it was really cold, there's a few days, it's just hard on equipment when it was negative for, 190 some hours or whatever there for a while, or.
It was like
So-
16 days, we were below zero.
Yeah, so when we have that's a little hard on the equipment, but, there, we have really good mechanics and they get that back as fast as they can go. And so most of it's been holding up and, just, our salt budget's a little bit off because of just the way the snow is coming. When you just get that 2 or 3 inches of light dusting, it's almost too little to scrape, but it makes everything, kind of just slimy and slippery. So we got to go out and put that product down to do that. And then it really helps once we get those little bit warmer temperatures for that stuff to work. You can see that track into the side roads and off the main ones and still kind of melting that. So we're getting there, but it looks like we'll have a little bit of a break here for the next week and a half or so. And we're just going to be really trying to clean up and get everything looking good before the next one hits.
All right. Any questions for him?
I was impressed that they came through, I'm on a Monday route for maintenance, and they came through yesterday when everybody else was off.
Yep,
For the most part, other than like PD and fire, but.
We had quite a few people volunteer to come in, on an off day to go and do that. And it's just one of those ones, had we not on that maintenance zone day, then we're kind of getting behind on where we needed to be to try and clean that up and stay on those days. And that's why we came in and they did a good job.
And then traveling to different cities over the holidays, you kind of get a feel for.
A real appreciation.
Yes.
For what we have. Yes, sir. All right. Thank you, Matt.
Thanks.
Mayor?
Yes, please, Commissioner Simmons.
Thank you. Hold Matt up there for a minute. On behalf, I guess, of West Fargo Events, we have a very, very special project going down at the MIA Plaza. And Matt and his team, he's volunteered to help us out there. And it's nobody knows yet. It's a surprise, but you all kind of get clues as we move forward. But it's drive by there. I think it's already starting down there. It's a major snowstorm, let's say, downtown, Matt, right? But I want to thank you and your team because we couldn't do it without you guys either. So thanks a lot.
Yeah, so if you do see that snow pile downtown, it's there on purpose. We're not going to take that one away for a little while.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Commissioners, anything else for this evening? No? Well, Commissioner Simmons.
Yes, I move to adjourn from a
Commissioner
distance.
Olson.
Second.
We're adjourned. Thank you.
Here, 1 second.